Imagine this. You're standing outside on a chilly evening. The wind brushes against your skin, and suddenly, tiny bumps rise across your arms. You shiver. Your hair seems to stand on end. We call them goosebumps. But why does this strange little reaction happen? Why does our body, without asking our permission, raise these tiny bumps on our skin? Goosebumps may seem like a useless reflex today, just a minor annoyance when it's cold or when you feel sudden fear. But the truth is, they carry a fascinating story that stretches back millions of years. A story written in our biology, one that we still share with animals all around us. In this journey, we'll explore the hidden reason behind goosebumps, how they worked for our ancestors, why animals still use them to survive, and what they reveal about the deep, ancient connection between humans and the natural world. So, let's begin. Goosebumps aren't just random bumps. They are a carefully wired reflex inside your skin. Each tiny bump happens because of a microscopic muscle called the arrector pili. This tiny muscle sits at the base of every hair on your body. When it contracts, the hair lifts upward, creating that bumpy texture we call goosebumps. But what makes these muscles suddenly tighten? The answer lies in your nervous system, specifically the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for your fight or flight reactions. Whenever you're cold, frightened, or even emotionally moved by a powerful song, your brain sends signals that trigger these little muscles. It's your body's automatic way of saying, something's happening, we need to react. In humans, it feels like a strange, mostly useless quirk, but in the animal kingdom, this reaction is far from useless. To us, goosebumps might seem like a meaningless shiver of the skin, but in animals, they can mean survival. Think of a cat that suddenly sees a threat. Its fur shoots up, making it look larger and more intimidating. That same reflex is what gives us goosebumps. In the wild, this piloerection helps animals ward off predators or show dominance. It also serves another critical function, insulation. When animals fluff up their fur, they trap warm air close to their skin, keeping them cozy in the cold. Humans lost most of our body hair over evolution, so while the reflex still triggers, the effect is almost invisible, just tiny bumps instead of a warm, fluffy coat. So for animals, goosebumps can be a shield against cold and a weapon against danger. For us, though, they're more like echoes of an ancient defense system. Goosebumps aren't just about cold or fear. They also appear when we feel strong emotions. Have you ever listened to a song so powerful it gave you chills? Or watched a scene in a movie that made your skin tingle? That's goosebumps too. This happens because the same system that reacts to danger, the sympathetic nervous system, also responds to deep emotional experiences. When we feel awe, inspiration, or even overwhelming nostalgia, our bodies react as if we're standing in the cold or facing a threat. It's a strange crossover. A survival mechanism wired into us for physical protection now also marks the most profound, soul-stirring moments of our lives. Now you might wonder, if goosebumps don't really help us stay warm or look intimidating anymore, why do we still have them? The truth is, evolution doesn't always erase old features right away. Goosebumps are what scientists call a vestigial response, a leftover trait from our ancestors. Like the appendix or wisdom teeth, they've lost most of their original purpose, but they remain because they don't harm us. In fact, they may still play a small role in regulating our skin's response to temperature changes. And even though they're not practical for survival anymore, they've taken on a new meaning, connecting us to emotions, art, and moments that move us deeply. In a way, goosebumps remind us of both our ancient animal past and our very human ability to feel. One of the most fascinating ways goosebumps appear is through music. Ever been moved by a powerful song or a soaring symphony and felt a shiver run down your spine? That's called an aesthetic chill, a type of emotional goosebump. Scientists have found that these chills activate the reward centers of the brain, including areas that release dopamine, the chemical of pleasure. Studies show that when music builds to an emotional peak, or when there's an unexpected change in melody, our brains can trigger goosebumps, even though there's no cold or threat. Some people experience this more strongly than others, depending on personality traits like openness to experience. In a sense, goosebumps bridge the body and the mind. They're a physical echo of an emotional surge, reminding us that even tiny bumps on our skin can carry the weight of awe, fear, or joy. In animals, goosebumps, or rather the same reflex, serve as a signal. A cat with raised fur shows fear or aggression. A dog with raised hackles warns rivals to back off. It's a clear, visible way to communicate danger without a single sound. Humans, however, no longer rely on this reflex to communicate. Our bodies lost most of their hair, so these tiny bumps are largely invisible to others. We can barely even notice our own goosebumps at times. Still, they serve a quiet internal purpose. They signal our emotional state to ourselves, our body responding to fear, awe, or intense beauty. They're a hidden reminder of our evolutionary history, connecting us to the same survival instincts animals use, even if we no longer need them to fight or flee. Goosebumps may no longer speak to others, but they still whisper a story of who we once were and the instincts that shaped us. Goosebumps appear in the most ordinary moments, yet they carry a touch of wonder. A chilly morning breeze brushing against your skin, stepping out of a warm shower, or even feeling a sudden emotion. These everyday events can trigger the tiny bumps along your arms. Watching a powerful scene in a movie, hearing a favorite song, or seeing someone you love achieve something remarkable can all make your skin prickle. Even though the reflex no longer serves the survival purpose it did in our ancestors, it continues to connect us to the world around us. Goosebumps are a gentle reminder that our bodies are alive, that even the smallest physiological reactions can tie into our emotions, our memories, and our sense of awe. In essence, they are a silent companion in our daily lives, linking us to the echoes of our evolutionary past while enhancing the beauty of our present experiences. And so, as we come to the end of this journey, we realize that goosebumps are more than tiny bumps on our skin. They are whispers from our ancient past, a reflex inherited from our furry ancestors who needed them to survive the cold or scare off predators. They are a bridge to the animal kingdom, connecting us to the instinctual world that shaped our evolution. At the same time, goosebumps have become a uniquely human experience. They mark moments of awe, beauty, fear, and joy, reminding us that even the smallest physical reactions can carry deep emotional meaning. So, next time you feel that tiny shiver, that prickling along your arms, pause for a moment. Those goosebumps are your body's way of telling a story of survival, evolution, emotion, and wonder, all written into your very skin. In their silence, they connect us to the past, to the animal world, and to the depths of our own human experience. Sweet dreams, and may your goosebumps continue to tell their quiet, ancient story.